Hey everybody, I'm Stephanie. Welcome to my channel. We're meeting with Rachel today, and I actually do not know her. That's kind of the fun of this whole thing. And we're gonna get to see what she thinks about herself. And here we go. So what I want you to do before I go into anything is I just want you to sign your name like you would a check or a legal document. Just sign your name. Perfect.
Alrighty.
All right.
That's
Good
me.
times. Yay. Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I do.
Okay.
So when you're in kindergarten, you're taught to print. Along about the third or fourth grade, you're taught standard form of cursive.
Right.
And how you deviate from that is your personal statement about yourself. So let's just get started.
Okay, let's do it.
So you are very emotional, like you're very low key. So you love everyone, or if you don't, you're trying to get along with everyone. And if you don't like them, you just quietly avoid. It's tenderhearted and very kind. And that's really the thing that drives you. So you love love, right? All the world loves lovers. But
Yes.
no, but you really do. And who you are and how you are. And you have this inordinately kind heart. So part of what you do is there are many times that you will, to your own detriment, sacrifice so other people's needs or feelings, more importantly, aren't hurt. Really very, very smart. Intuitively smart. Like you know right away if you can trust someone or if you can't. Oftentimes you will second guess yourself though. And then when something doesn't go right, you're not mad at them, you're mad at yourself because I should have seen that coming. I knew that. Why did I not trust me, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. You are so consistent. So if you say you'll do it, you'll bleed, you'll die, you'll do it. And you overcommit frequently. Painfully. So no is it's almost profanity. It's not an easy word for you, right?
No.
So this connection with not having permission to say no, even young, right? Like a little bit of guilt growing up, more than needing to hit you or do anything. As a child, your parents looked at you and said, I'm disappointed. Devastation, destruction, tsunami, like bad.
Yeah.
So there is inherently in you a desire to please people, not like be a doormat, but genuinely please people. Like you take more joy in other people's joy than your own joy for yourself,
Yeah.
which is like so sweet. Good Lord, right? But also like, hey, be nice to you, right? Your life has been, so let's rewind. You love consistency. You love showing up and you love people being able to count on you, like in every way. Like that if you say you'll do it, and that there is a measure of more than pride, like investment and just being good to people the way you want others to be good to you. So you are a detail noticer. And when you give the gift, you give the gift that you know they love. Like you are so confident. So there's that moment where you're like, you've been watching, you're gonna, a gift like a birthday or whatever, and you're like ready to get something and you were like, I saw it. I know what they want, right? And there's this moment, like this spark and like let it begin, right? And you do, and you give the gift and you've wrapped it and you wrapped it in the colors they like. And they're having this whole experience. Mm-hmm. It's a vibe, it's a aesthetic. It's like, no, like seriously, as I totally robbed vocabulary from my daughters, but seriously, it is like a moment and they're like there with this gift and you have so carefully curated and procured. It's their gift, not your, it is your gift, clearly, because you're, you know what I mean? Like your personality, your consideration, your intellect, all those things. But that's what you are giving, right? It's what they want. So if I like chocolate and you like ice cream, you are giving chocolate. You are giving European tour. Here's from Spain and from Greece and from France and Belgium, and right? Like literally that's how you are. So there is this great attention to detail and thoughtfulness and real inherent kindness, right? Every coin has two sides, right? So with all of that, for you come last. 99.999. Most of the time, you will put yourself behind those that you love and appreciate. And even behind those that you don't necessarily love and appreciate, but like I make light, but like, ooh, you need to be kind to you. You need to be slow to criticize and quick to cheerlead you. I think sometimes you've spent a lot of time in your life prioritizing other people's needs, feelings, needs, requests, right, over yours, feelings, needs, requirements that you were making of yourself, right? What an opportunity to hold still a little. Because you're not running, that's not what I mean in the frantic sense of over expenditure of energy. But you do spend most of your time taking care of others in a variety of ways. Not necessarily like that idea of hospice care or whatever, but like consideration, expending emotional energy, making them others feel like a priority, seeing what they need and doing. I think there's this amazing part of you that is inherently service oriented, that you have spent your life, like we use that phrase like currency, but like spent it in the sweetest way, like water on flowers, like spent your life being mindful of others, serving others, like taking great deal of joy in that. And that's sincerely you. And then there's this other part, like, you know, if a little's good, a lot may be even better, right? And it's the difference between sweetening a drink and then sending someone into sugar shock, right? Like that point where, okay, where do I get to be considered? And reconnecting with what it is that I want. What do I want now? Like, oftentimes I think you are so flexible. There's much that doesn't matter to you. Like, not that it doesn't matter, like, not that you don't care, but like you're flexible about it. It's like but what you do want, you want, right? But there is this whole other area that is this opportunity to reconnect with what does Rachel want, right? You appreciate knowing the rules before you do anything so that you know what's expected of you. You have found some of the loopholes, but you are pretty much a play it straight kind of girl. And if the loophole, it's not even for you 90% of the time. It's for someone else. It's like, okay, that's not going to work with what we have going. How do I get around that in a still good sort of way? And I like that. I like it a lot. It's a language I speak. But there's this consistency. And so oftentimes you are the one that will end up being the one in your group of friends who holds it down, right? Like even maybe a little bit of I've said this before, I try not to repeat myself, but like the stray dog collector a little bit, and maybe not literal stray dogs, but like just the less befriended, those who are on the periphery of things, right? There becomes this opportunity too for you to like reset and go, okay, what's healthy here for Rachel? Like if that's a question I can encourage you to ask yourself, like in a given moment, okay, I've committed to that. Yeah. Because maybe find new phrases to say no, like, I'm so sorry, time won't permit, or it looks like, or whatever. But there comes this point where you teach other people how to treat you. My mom used to say, you can't be walked on like a rug if you don't lay down, right? And I know that's oversimplifying, right? Because there are these finessed moments where people will maneuver us, right? No matter how articulate we all can be. And beyond all of that, I think the biggest thing is just those moments where maybe you just practice out loud with yourself. If you know someone is someone who likes to extract favors from you, or someone who likes to take advantage of your tender heart and kind nature and your disposition to be of service, right? All those things that I worry that makes you sound like milquetoast, like some of my good English friends would say, but it's so much more than that, right? It is this I think it's interesting that many people in your life would sometimes mistake your softness, your tenderheartedness for just being like too easy on things. When you have a constitution of iron, the thing is that you are much more likely to use that on behalf of others than you are of doing it on behalf of yourself. And so there have been times, but part of it is like there have been deliberate moments where you're like, I think that you're a jerk, but do I really want to make you feel like you're a jerk? Do I want to live with the reality that I know that I just decimated you emotionally? I'm going to bite my tongue here and swallow a little blood. I'm going to do this way because really it would be easier for me to live with a moment of disappointment and me not getting what I want versus a moment of I've just decimated you. And I know words matter, right? Careless comments can cause damage. Like you are careful that way, and that way you are aware of other people's feelings on a supernatural kind of level, right? You prefer in certain ways to fly under the radar. Like a little bit of, I love that phrase, like if it's a surprise birth, you don't mind being the center of attention if you're coordinating the situation. Then you have something to do. It's appropriate for people to look at you. It's appropriate right now for the focus to be on you, but this is a little step outside your norm, right? Yeah. So, but if it's like, hey, surprise birthday party, Rachel, you're like, what do I do with my hands? Right? Like, sorry. I love movies. I quote them viciously, voraciously. Yeah. Like, it is that total moment of like, I feel uncomfortable in my own skin. What have you done to me, right? Yeah. The birthday, the quintessential moment, and I think most people feel like this, is when you go out with a friend and it's either really not your birthday or it is your birthday, but everybody promised it would be low key. We're just going out to dinner, and then everybody's been having dinner, things were going great, we're laughing, we're having a good time, and all of a sudden the brigade of 30 waiters and they're singing happy, 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 and that whole moment, that is how you feel when you are not expecting to be the center of attention. Yes. It's no bueno. It's just not your vibe. I love that. I can just see it. I can see it in my head. I think part of it is for you, it's so much easier to be the frame than the photo. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Like if everyone tried to be the lead soprano, I'd get a little insane, right? Like, we're not meant to be identical to one another in so many different spectra. At least that's my belief on life, right? And so there is this nuance to the highlights have to have lowlights, and there's this give and take and ebb and flow, right? But it does need to get to be your turn sometimes. Mm-hmm. It does need to have, even if the comfortable way for it to be your turn is to plan for it, I would invite you to keep a journal, even if it's just a daily, like, what do I love? What would I like to do? Mm-hmm. I don't like the term bucket list. Mm-hmm. I'm not planning to kick the bucket. I'd like it to surprise me out of the blue, mm-hmm. right? I don't want a list of planning to die. I want a list of planning to live, right? Mm-hmm. That the things that I love to do, that I would try to incorporate in my daily life, not like stockpile and wait. Like maybe I plan for the nice vacation to the place I've always wanted to visit or whatever. But there's this point though. There is merit in stopping to ask yourself what it is you love. Like, do you draw? Do you like art? What do you do creatively? Because there's this quiet way about you. Like you appreciate, at minimum, like the carefully crafted. Not the big grandiose art, but like beautiful, I don't want to say knickknacks, but the little things like, in Spanish, the turn of phrase is manualidades, like handmade, homemade. Somehow in English, it loses its classiness, you know what I mean? I like vocabulary, but there's this, like the beauty of something beautifully made, that carefully crafted, right? You appreciate that. It draws you in. You love seeing the detail. And it's the same way why you watch and observe others, right? You are looking for someone who carefully sees your details, like all the nuances, because you're not there with a megaphone about yourself, but there is considerable depth in who you are and how you are. And yet what pleases you is not things. It is, you want someone's time. You want a communication of, like, you see me, you notice all the things. I don't have to give you a Cliff's Notes tutorial. Like, this is Rachel. Rachel likes chocolate at a good time. Rachel likes kid puppies. And, like, you want someone who is spending the time to notice, who is inspired by how they feel about you, to take the effort to notice. A lot of times you don't expect that of others, and life has served you up enough situations that frequently you feel like, don't expect that, don't hold your breath, you'll drown, right? Like, sometimes it becomes an opportunity, even if you have to figure out how to practice it on your own or write it down. Like, in a difficult situation, you wish you had the zinger in the moment, right? And they'll say the eviscerating thing and you're like, damn it, right? And then later on, you'll, like, the thing will come to you. You're like, if there was an argument that clash and you're like, damn it, I should have used that. That would have been great. Why weren't you there? And then part of you goes like, oh, it's all for the better anyway, because then I would have had to live with the repercussions of what I'd done. And that's probably a harder thing than what I want to live with, right? It's that tug of war. Inherently, who you are is driven by good things, though. I know that that might seem like something I would throw out with everyone, except that that's not true. Some people are much more mercenary in their motivations, right? Mm-hmm. And you just don't have that, right? It wouldn't necessarily go amiss to get a little bit of it, though. If you have to figure out a different phrase, then no. But to give the negative response to a request on your time, talents, energy, money, assets, all of your considerable goodness, right? To be able to say, I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I've got some other commitments that won't allow me. Whatever it needs to. I love that. Different languages have different ways of phrasing things, right? Spanish, sometimes I love how it makes other people responsible. Like, there's a phrase, like in Spanish, you don't say I passed gas, you say it escaped me. Like, yes, make it that, yes, it's the inordinate and inanimate object's fault, right? But like, maybe that's a way to approach it, but whatever it looks like for you, I think the part about no is that it allows you to then not feel overwhelmed and not be the last on the priority list. Here, I'll say this. Oftentimes, you are so busy, for lack of a better word, we'll say that. You're busy loving on, serving, doing, right? You're doing all the good things. And part of what you really want is to receive that love back. And you're not getting it. And part of the reason why is, imagine that your life is a garden. And if you take up all the space in your life growing food for others, then there's no space left for others to have a chance to grow food for you, right? When we do all the service and become the do-it-all for you dolly, then rewind. Here's what I mean. Love is about being a verb. It's not not a noun. It's not it's not an adjective. It is a verb. It's an action. So love is either growing or it's dying. I mean, this is obviously my humble fathead opinion, but here we are, right? And so at the end of the day, if we don't give people a space to serve us back, we are allowing their love for us to die in a certain degree. This is all obviously because we don't give them a place to serve us. So part of it is finding out what you want and communicating that need, right? And then part of it is stepping back and letting them serve you. This is not about, fake like you're short and stoop, right? That's not any of that. It's simply getting out of your own way for someone else to have a chance to serve you back. which is part of what you are waiting for, right? You don't want to have to cheerlead. I know sometimes it's that counterintuitive. Like, I have to tell you it's not really a gift, right? Like, but even Santa wants a wish list, right? What do you want for Christmas? See, we go to the malls, we go to places, we write him letters and leave them for him to know about, right? We mail them to, I'm being funny, obviously, but like, the point is there is this point of accountability in our lives where we expect others to be clairvoyant or we communicate. Right? And yes, your super gift, your superpower is to notice what others want and need and anticipate that in certain ways. Like, it is a driving force for you, right? But sometimes who you draw around you are people who have other strengths you don't inherently have, right? What you admire in your closest friends are their ability to, like, forge the path, say no easily, all the different things, right? That aren't maybe the things that come inherently to you. You, if I'm hiring, if I'm looking at your thing, you are the person who will do the journey, the entire journey. You will make it happen. You will be accountable for it. You will keep it in budget. You and you'll make it exquisite, and I'll be like, yes. Rachel didn't start that project, but Rachel's sure they'll finish that. You know what I mean? Like, that's got 99% of that. And so that's a huge deal, right? I think at the end of it all, the really neat thing is that life isn't, it's not stagnant, even when we want it to be. Life is fluid, life is ever growing. And the opportunity is what it is to not make yourself wrong and go, look at all these things I've been doing. I exercise my intelligence, my talents, I serve others, I'm considerate, I'm kind, I listen to the rules and I follow them, not because I'm worried about being critiqued for it, but because you're inherently driven by the desire to do what's right. But now here's this opportunity to do what's right by you, right? To ask myself what I want and need, and if I forego at times in an unhealthy way my needs. There's a give and take in that, right? There's a certain measure of really healthy selflessness in our close relationships with everyone around us, right? But there are moments that you feel frustrated, that your needs are not being met, but you're not communicating it because it's hard for you, because you, in all of the time and energy and effort you spend serving others, will sometimes forget to stop and ask yourself what you want. The imbalance in it simply is when you aren't hearing your voice. So when I said do the journal entries, do some things, it's a way to get yourself centered and quiet and ask yourself, am I happy with how this is going, and how can it go better? Or do I like this? Or am I satisfied with this? And not because you need to look for discontent in your life, but because there are needs that aren't being met. And whether it's you meeting those needs for yourself or inviting others to participate in your life and saying, you know what, you're right. I do need things and I don't ask you, and here's what I need, right? You're so kind. If I could just say anything, all of that kindness, all the things that you so carefully curate to help others, I would say, man, use that for Rachel. It's that quintessential, you get on the airplane, and I had a friend who used to call it the Malaysian hand dance, right? And they show you where the emergency exits are, and they do that air mask, right? But you have to have oxygen first before you can help anyone around you to have oxygen. And it's true with your life as well. Like, I would invite you to take care of your needs first, and then I think you would be amazed at how much deeper your reservoir is, right? And how much happier you allow yourself to feel. Like, what you do has really given you a happy disposition in a lot of ways, but there are moments when it's a drain, and it would feel more of a get to if you got to take care of you first. All right?
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks so much for joining us today. as always, if you liked what you've seen, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you can be reminded when we put out new episodes. And as always, the journey of any great journey is always starts with one step. So if you don't like where you are in your life, there's always an easy way to move forward. Just take that step. And above all else, be good to yourself and be good to your people. And we'll see you next time.